Sophie. Hello, everyone. Hello, 360. Hello, everybody. Lovely seeing you. There's my assistant. We don't see you, but that's her in the corner. Hello, hello.
Hello.
Ah, guys, in the comment, tell me what you are doing. You know, what's your profession? What's your business? So we would be able to know who's here today and how we can help you better with the sharing the experience. Yeah. And you're so lucky to be in Lagos. It's sunny and warm. It's freezing in London and it's freezing in Paris as well. You know, I wish I could be with you on the other side of the screens. Sweating and being warm. As you see, I've got long sleeve because it's absolutely freezing here. Okay, so I've been told that Blessing might not be able to join us, which is unfortunate, but whenever she's going to be able to join, I will have her in the conversation. So good morning, everybody. Today, the session is about public relation. Public relation, a lot of change with public relation in the UK, huge, absolutely phenomenal. You cannot do anything without a public relation introducing you to the brand. In France, very different, extremely powerful as well, but working a bit in a different format, working very, very closely to the brand, but in a more discreet way, I should say, whether PR agencies in the UK are very, very upfront, they're very public, it's very easy to find them. It's not a very confidential profession, shall I say. So today we're gonna have Karine Rameau. She's been a PR in Paris for some of the biggest brands for 25 years. She's got a track record with fantastic brands. Sorry. Yeah, a fantastic brand. She does digital, she does print, she does all the traditional PR, as well as she had to evolve with her time. So the people that knows me knows that I am not very keen with PR, but I'm keen with good PR like Karine, because they are really a facilitator when you are looking for someone who's a real one. We're going to learn what it is to do the work as a PR. And Karine is with us now. Hello, Karine.
Hello, Agnes. Hello, hello. Hello, everybody.
She just arrived. One second. Tu peux pas changer l'écran pour qu'il y ait moyenne? And yes, Karine. And so, Karine, we have you with us from Paris.
Yes, from Paris. Hello, everybody.
I would like you to introduce, first of all, your agency. What does your agency?
Okay, so nice to speak with you this morning from Paris. So my agency relies on create different PR strategies for different brands specialized in fashion or in beauty. So I create different strategies to target different journalists on different medias. So when you launch a brand, you need to have a support for media in order to support your brand. And with these press clippings, after you can target or get in touch with different sales or point of sales, yes, in order to implement your brand in their networks. But you need a support from the media.
Okay, and then when you say point of sale, you're talking about retail point of sale, yeah? So if you get talked into the press, it helps you to get better access to point of sales.
Exactly, Agnes, exactly. It's the objective. And the second objective is to develop your sales, because due to the publication got in in the different websites, you can begin and you will begin to sell your products. And with the print press, it's the same thing. It's a support to develop your sales.
Okay, and so because obviously, so you see, a few years back, I was working on the fashion show of this British designer called Patrick Cox, and he was doing shoes at the time, and oh, the shoes were amazing. It was a very expensive product, and I was very sad at the time. I was very sad for him because I was like, but you know, I've seen your publication, and it was like a People magazine. It was a very cheap People magazine, but it was in the shopping pages, and I was like, wouldn't you rather be in Vogue magazine? And he said, oh, darling, no. Vogue is great, but I'd like cheap magazine with a lot of publication, because every time I'm in one of those, even free magazine, I sell out my product. So can you explain to us what is the best strategy? Because me, I thought that if you go into Vogue, you're going to be you would be selling out your product, but maybe that's not the right way. So how do I pick the right publication for my product?
It depends of your positioning, because if you want to be in the luxury point of sales and the top of the range point of sales internationally, you will need to target luxury media. But
okay.
Voilà, because Vogue and L'Officiel and Elle will give you necessarily awareness to enter in the top of leading luxury brands. Voilà.
Okay.
Voilà. So.
And then if I am a very small
brand, or if you are smallest.
Yeah, we're going to talk about that a bit further, but now that I've got you on that, if I am a very small, let's say I would be a very talented school graduate, and that at my graduating fashion show or design graduation, I had picked up few good contact, or I had picked up some attention. How can I optimize my the attention that I get, or the contact, without spending too much money? What would be the one or two thing, and then we can go back into agency, but what would be the one or two thing that you would like advise to a very young brand?
Okay. So I was in charge of a lot of very young brands, and this is this is more interesting as far as I'm concerned, because I think the job of the PR is really to launch and to create a buzz about a fashion designer, and voilà.
Yes.
This is quite interesting. So the fashion designers has to create a very important network for them. It means if you organize a fashion show, or even if you organize a presentation to show your clothes or your creations, you have to invite the fashion journalists you meet, or fashion journalists, or even influencers. The influencers are quite and so much important now, because some different brands succeeded to become very famous just with influencers. In fact, it's now the reality. So you have to create with you a small network, and to contact them, and to present your brand, and to present you in order to convince them to discover your brand. And after that, you will create a specific relationship between you and the influencers or the fashion journalist, even if they work for smallest publication, because they will give you all the confidence, and they will speak, they will write press clippings about your brand, and it will be the first step of your awareness.
Yes.
And after, you will have time to get in touch with Vogue and L'Officiel. When you launch a brand, you have to consider you have different steps. Enfin, voilà. So create your own network with influencers. So I advise you to follow the influencers, but not just to follow, to publish, comment, voilà.
Speak to them and be consistent. And also, it's good to go big, but sometimes you don't need to go too big all the time. You can also go with people who are literally just around you and on your level and collaborate with them in terms of awareness, isn't it? You know, you don't always have to chase 40K or 50K influencers. That's not always what works the best. It's a bit like the publication. It's not necessarily the biggest one that works the best because they're not necessarily very close to their audience, but the small and medium ones, sometimes it works better. So I want to go back a little bit into your career. So now you've been having your agency for a few years now. Yes. You were like in fashion, in beauty, in high jewelry as well, and in estate, with estate agent and so on. What is the day-to-day of a PR agency?
Okay, so a day-to-day PR agency is to follow all of my customers. So every morning, I got in touch or I gave a call to my customers because every day they have received an information from a point of sale, from a new collection, they developed a new creation. So I have to know every day what's happened in the company. And with this, I decide to call this journalist or this one, or voilà. It depends on the information. For information, I'm working about a new jewelry designer. He creates bracelets in diamonds. Voilà, it's wonderful, absolutely amazing. And he decided yesterday to add a new pieces at the collection because following the first meetings with fashion meetings, one-to-one interview of last week, he decided to add one bracelet. He showed them and they told him it's the best, it's the most beautiful, so you have to add to your collection. So yesterday he sent me the information and I changed the lookbook because I had this piece, this piece, and I have to send a press release to all of the journalists, and I gave my call and I gave a call to all of them in order to tell them, voilà, look at my press release, finally Hans is going to add a new bracelet in champagne diamond, voilà, it's a new color of diamond. And they told me, oh yes, it's wonderful, you're right, so I'm going to choose this piece for my Christmas selection. Voilà. So every day my planning is changing. It depends of the news.
So really, so how if I wanted to pick a PR agency to promote myself, what should I look at? And how do I know that the PR agency, because okay, I tell you my take on PR agencies, especially nowadays, because maybe 20 years ago you had, like in Paris, you had 5 to 10 PR agencies, okay?
Yes, exactly.
You had Maria Luisa, you had Margaret, you had so very few, and it was like girls who were super connected. Now in Paris, you've got maybe 100 PR agencies, and they are not all good. Yeah, they're not all good. A lot of the biggest brands, they have them in-house as well. So how do I pick a PR agency for two purposes. How do I pick a PR agency to represent myself? And if I want to pick a PR agency for collaboration, how do I know that they can help me further to collaborate with bigger brands?
Okay, so you have to ask to your PR agency the list of customers, because it's important she had a solid network in watches, if you are going to launch a new collection of watches, in jewelry, in ready-to-wear, if you want to launch a new collection of ready-to-wear. So you have to check his references. It's the first point. And after, I advise you to ask to your PR address details of customers, and don't hesitate to get in touch with them, and they will explain you if the PR is available for them or not. Because if you enter in a big PR agencies, you will be with 50 other brands, and the PR will never found, will not care of you, because she will have too much work. So my advice is to choose a person you very qualified with lots of references in luxury and in fashion, and don't you have to know the luxury magazine and the luxury experience is a key, very important to enter in the fashion magazines. Voilà. So you have to check if she knows the editor in chief and not only the journalist. Voilà. How many years of experience she has, and a person very available, because I received lots of calls from brands who were in big PR agencies, and the PR never called them, never sent shopping, never sent press releases. So that's no use, and they lose some money.
No, I understand that. And also the work of a PR is to be close to the customer as well. And now, so I hope people understand a little bit more what is because everybody calls themselves PR, I'm a PR, but to be a PR, it's really to at the end of the day, is to be able to pull out coverage from the press, from the influencer, guaranteed. You have to be able to say, okay, yeah, I can get you in that press with this influencer. You need to have that network. Now, we've been seeing over the past, I would say, consciously, the past decade, a very strong revival and an expansion of the interest of the African creative, who now goes beyond the beauty, beyond the music, and it goes toward the fashion, it goes toward the food, and it also starting to develop kind of a tourism as well. We've seen it with Morocco, we've seen it with Ghana, Nigeria, sorry guys, but Nigeria, people are a bit touch and go with Nigeria, yeah. Although I can't wait to come and visit you guys. So with all that, I think that if you're a brand in Nigeria, okay, you might not be able to afford Karine's services, but if your brand plus another brand plus another brand plus another brand form a collective, put a project together and contact her as a creative, she could help you develop and shed some light and interest on your
label, your label or your network.
Yeah, your label or anything like that. And that could definitely help you to get the distribution that you need and that you want to develop your brand. So sometimes what I want to say is like, it's good to be willing to push your brand individually, but if you push your brand as a collective, you will go further. And it will go faster as well, because as a collective of a brand, you have to be complementary, obviously. But as a collective, let's say you do trousers and the other one do shoes. Well, then what's going to happen? The guy who wants to buy the shoes is going to say, oh, by the way, I didn't see there was also trousers. Oh, I'm interested by both. So you can benefit from each other clientele and each other opportunities. So that's one thing that PR can help you with. And this is one thing on how you should look at PR as well, especially if you want to export your product. If you want to export your product, it's really, it's key at some point before to do big campaign to work the ground and to understand the market that you are going for. You don't need to have a PR for a very long time, or you don't need PR service for 2 years, 3 years. Sometimes it can just be a boost, or sometimes it can also be just a consultation, because also sometimes PR help to better communication or streamline the visual, isn't it?
Yes.
It helps you to speak. Go on,
yes.
Go on.
Yes, Agnes, I absolutely agree with you. For instance, I was in charge of Brazilian fashion designers. So they decided to communicate together, and we organized for them a small show of all the Brazilian culture and designers. And it has been, this event had a lot and had a big coverage in France, because all the media speak not only one fashion designers, but all the Brazilians inspiration, fashion designers, voilà.
Okay, yeah, well, that's a very good example, to be honest. And I think that this is something that Nigerian really could benefit from, because there's a lot of talent, there's a lot of creative people there as well, and it's a bit like everything. If you want to export a product, you need to really, how can I say, if you want to export a product, you really need to understand the product, the country where you want to export it. This is really, really, really important, and a PR agency can help you with that. You also need, who's not connected? Oh, yeah. So we also need to understand the market, understand the audience, understand the consumer, and for that, whatever you want to do, yes, you're going to need an agent. So an agent who's going to work for you like on the distribution, but the agent cannot do anything if he doesn't know who is your clientele. They won't be able to get yourself the best audience and the best department store. So in order to do that prior this, you need to get this work with the PR, so she can tell you, let's try this, let's try that. Then you get data, then you get numbers, then you know who you're going to be talking to, and then this, to work with a PR, it's also going to help you to decide what kind of agent you're going to need to sell your collection. So, Karine, now I want to talk about digital.
Yes.
Because the digital has changed everything. Before, nobody was approachable. You needed a PR. A PR was a must, because she had the address book, and she could make you or she could break you. Nowadays, if anyone wants anything, you can just basically go on Instagram. So what is the added value, and how? So, okay, so what is the added value of a PR agency when you have so much contact accessible on Instagram?
Okay, so the digital revolution is amazing, and is a very good point, because as Agnes explained before, you have to have your PR, and she worked for you, and if she worked well, it's good for your awareness. Otherwise, voilà, you stay like that with no solution. Voilà. So it was not very comfortable, I think, for the fashion designers. With Instagram, you can get in touch yourself with the influencers. So it changes everything. The problem is if you get in touch with them, like the director or the fashion designer, they're going to ask you, okay, I will be very happy to speak and to publish a post or picture or movie with you, with a piece of your collection. But voilà, please, can you give me 500 euros for the less, 1,000 euros for the middle of the influencers, and 5,000 euros for the top influencers at the minimum, or 10,000 euros. And my customers called them explaining me, oh, I'm very annoyed to say no, because, you know, I hope to develop my awareness on my brand, and you told me I need the influencers. So I'm feeling obliged to pay them, Karine. And no, not at all. If you have a PR, I will contact them. The PR will contact the influencers instead of you, and we are going to sell them. Excuse me, I was in charge of the communication and the digital for this brand. So I'm very sorry, but fine. And so it's free. Voilà. If you want to collaborate with us, it's free. So it's like a lower something with defends your company, the influencers to pay them. Voilà. Because I am because I defend some brands of new telephones or different things, and these brands are obliged to pay. Contrary to the fashion designers, because they can offer a piece.
Yes.
So this is like I am a regulator. So sometimes the influencers know absolutely. Sometimes it's normal; they will be paid, and sometimes no. So you if you have a PR, you will earn a lot of money. Trust me, because probably I don't know, you will pay a PR at the minimum 1,000 euros a month, or 3,000 euros to launch a brand, but it will only cost 3,000 euros to have a press coverage, website coverage, and an influencer's coverage.
Of course.
Trust me, because I received lots of calls from different fashion designers explaining me, oh, I paid 10,000 euros for only 5, and I am very disappointed. I have just one picture, and I did no sale at all. I said, yeah, it's completely normal. Voilà. So think about that.
And also, think about the optimization of a PR agency, but also it works both ways. If you are in Nigeria, you have to understand that you're one of the most favorite market that Europe wants to break in. Like, for instance, Nigeria is the biggest consumer of champagne in the world. So, you know, people in Europe, especially in France, they want to connect with Nigerian, but the problem is there is no Oh, Karine, on voit rien sur ton écran.
Ouais, c'est en train de s'ouvrir.
Okay. Yeah, so if you're in Nigeria and you wanted to open a PR agency, that could be actually a very, very, very good business, because a lot of people in Europe would like to go to Nigeria, would like to connect to Nigeria, would like to make business with Nigeria, would like to distribute products in Nigeria, and they don't know what to do and how to do. And then that could be on your term also, you as Nigerian, to help them to come over. And then also you as Nigerian, you could maybe say, okay, well, now that we've met Karine, we've got this business, we'd like to do partnership with her, because maybe she's clients that could be very interesting, and I know you've got some clients that could be extremely interesting also for the French ones. So to have a PR, you need to think about it as being like a big, warm, human address book, really. That's really what how you need to think about it. And this profession is really to connect people one to another and help business to go smoother, where a brand can't go because the brand's too big or the brand is too famous, and then people want to abuse the brand. The PR can go. If the brand is too small and not trusted or not really valued, the PR can go in between, and then we facilitate the conversation. Now, if you are a middle ground brand, then it's a bit different, because middle ground brand, you know, they've been proven, they've, you know, they are not known, but they have a very reliable base of fan or consumer, and therefore they would need a PR, but not as much as a very big one that can handle the flux of request and demand and information and everything, and the smallest one who really needs the help. The middle range one, they kind of have PR as they go and on certain part of their business when they need it. Same, to help them to smoothen some transaction, to help them to smoothen access to certain journalists, to help them to be a bit more visible on key moments of the year, whether it's fashion week, whether it's a jewelry time, whether it's perfume, which in France, perfume would be May, June, July, April, kind of spring, summer season. Yes, there you go, your presentation.
Okay. Sorry.
Yeah. And then, so really all of that is really something that you need to think. Karine, is there any school to be a PR?
Yes, there is. There are different in France and in all Europe. We have different private school like Les Fac,
yeah.
l'ISCOM, and you can do a master in luxury marketing too, and luxury and communication marketing too in different business school. Voilà. So yes, there are different schools specialized in communication or MBA in marketing and luxury communication. So you have the choice between the schools after your degree, or to follow a business school and after to specialize in 1 year. But the most important is the training period, of course, and the experience. Voilà. Because you can be a PR with no network, so that's no use. Voilà. You can't be a PR. A PR is based only on her network, built after the experience. So regarding the campaign, yes, just to explain you, the fashion editors and the fashion journalists and all the journalists in Europe, it sure will appreciate to go to Nigeria, to visit the Nigeria, to discover your culture. So it's an important point to show and to present. And just to give you an idea of the feedback of the fashion and fashion designers. So it shows the French fashion is one of the most renowned all over the world, one of the most famous. But the fashion journalists are interesting more and more by other culture. and they speak a lot about the African fashion shows and fashion events, about the Oriental. Enfin, voilà. It's not at all like 30 or 20 years old. We are very open, and I think they will be very happy to speak about Nigeria or African fashion designers. And lots of foreigners designers are really appreciate in Europe, because they bring new inspiration, new, voilà, something new, and this is quite important. And in Europe, voilà, the people live together, voilà. I think and I hope we have very good relationships, and voilà, the French and even in British, I think we are not only concentrated about Europe, not at all. It's absolutely the contrary. Well, I wanted to explain you that, because each time I propose fashion about others' fashion sculpture, I have very good feedback. For instance, I'm going to show you, I was in charge of Korean fashion designers, Korean, well, excuse me for my accent, and she
it's Korean, that's it.
And she received a huge welcome, because she brings something else. Voilà, European people don't know, so it's quite important. And I'm sure you will receive a very good welcome if you have very nice picture. The image is absolutely, voilà, is absolutely important and essential. Yeah. You have to have nice pictures of your collection. Yes. With nice models. You have to be in the code. I don't know how to explain that.
In the code, no, absolutely. You need to understand the code of fashion. But the thing is, to be fair, Nigeria is actually leading on some of the trends of fashion, because the LVMH winners is from Nigeria. The girl who's gonna rebrand Gap behind Kanye West, she's from Nigeria, and she's doing leather, and she's doing very crazy stuff. And all those Nigerian designers actually coming over to Paris. You have more and more and more. You have few from London, but really, it's not the one from London, it's the one from Nigeria, from Lagos, coming straight, taking the time to have showrooms. And also people need to understand that there is showing your design, and there is building a fashion business, and that is not the same. To build a fashion business, it takes time. If we take, for instance, we have a very good example. Iman Aissi is from Cameroon, which is, you guys would know, because you're a bit like Cameroon and Nigeria, huh? You're a big family sort of things. And he's been having his brand for like 15 to 20 years. And only has been just discovered by the fashion people in France. But that was the right time at the right moment. And he's built a clientele from absolutely all over the world. And what made him really explode on the French scene, the French fashion scene, actually that was the Black influencer. Because they couldn't get all the other brand, and he was the only couture designer to lend them clothes, they all started to be dressed with his clothes, and nobody could ignore him. And then when he applied to be able to show officially during the Couture Week in Paris, they said yes, and then he entered the history of fashion as being the first African designer to show at Paris Couture. And Paris Couture is a big deal. So there's Adenike. Yes, we actually just give us 5 minutes and we will start the question. So everybody, for the question for Karine, please put them in the little box. So we make sure that, you know, at the bottom of your screen, there's like the conversation. Put your question there so we can see them properly, right? So I just wanted to finish with that with Imanaisi. African designer, African creative are absolutely sought after in Europe at the moment because they are redefining communication, digital, fashion trends, fashion fabrics. So yes, we had the wax, but now all the traditional fabrics are also coming over. So it is something that's really well done, well organized, with a good consultation on the top of it, could absolutely make a huge racket in Europe. Like said Karine, people are looking for this, and also because of all the sustainable fashion, Africa, the continent, has been a leading force on that, and Europe is only catching up just right now, trying to think of all the solution to be sustainable, plus the COVID on the top of that, where we have the COVID up to here, we're not managing COVID very, very well. Sourcing fabric, sourcing cotton is extremely expensive. Solutions are needed, but above all, creativity is needed. And all the new networks, I think this is also why we are doing this conference, is to connect with you, to get to know you, and then you get to know us and see how we can work together. So, Karine, I think there's people who want to ask questions. So I suggest put your question, and when we're going to have one or two questions, we're going to open the floor, but we are open to question now. So Adenike, if you want to ask your question, please fire away. We are listening. And until I've got your question, I will keep the presentation. So yeah, but Karine, I'm absolutely agree with you. You know, it's the right time for any creative from Africa at the moment. Get in touch, because we are open to whatever you are doing. And I repeat, any question, please put them in the question box, fire away, we are ready for the question. So, okay.
And just to tell you, in the most important department stores in France, they have more and more international brands, and with lots of African culture. You have to understand in Europe, all the brands I am in charge ask me names or contact of Black models, Black influencers, because they have to communicate to this target and the Black woman. So we need to discover your culture, your inspirations, because when I organized a press event or a fashion show, I have the same numbers of journalists with of Black and white. Voilà. It's not at all like 20 years ago when I used to begin in my career, and all the journalists are like that, voilà, very smart. Now, the differences of culture and the color.
CEO, well, CEO of Cocomier Nigeria Limited, what can be done for SMEs who want, it's like payment, okay, who want to push their brand in PR, but they have small budget? I think that for this question, maybe let's get practical and let's think of 3 practical idea to implement. You fire away and then I will complement it.
Alors, Agnes, you mean if Merci wants to do by herself is PR, or if she wants to...
Yes, yes, if she wants to implement her own PR, what would be the few things that she could be doing? Like, let's do 3 tips.
Okay, so first tip, you target and you research on Instagram 10 influencers you like the style, 10 or 20 and you propose them a piece of your collection against a video on different and 3 or 5 at the minimum publication and post. But try to select them not only in your country, of course, but in all Europe, in different countries. Okay, first tip. Second, you can try to find the address details of a few European fashion journalists, and you can send them an email. I'm not sure all of the journalists will read your email and will answer you, but voilà, this is the second. And third, the most important, try to get in touch with other companies, voilà, in order to have a small budget, and try to get in touch with a PR in order to organize an event in London or Paris or Milan during the fashion weeks, dedicated to your group, your collective brands. Voilà. And as far as I'm concerned, I think for me, it's the best solution. The first is to create your own network of journalists and influencers, and to begin your PR by yourself. Voilà.
And I'm going to add on that, Mercy, what you really, really, really should do, if you want to push your PR, you need to be on LinkedIn. LinkedIn is the best way to start business from. Really, really. First of all, you need to have good pictures. So for that, you need to look at the brands like you, the brands that inspire you, and you should, just for the beginning, have a good shoot and videos. You also need to have one video that introduce yourself, that introduce who is the CEO of this brand, because just to show clothes nowadays is not good enough. People want to know that it's sourced ethically, that it is safe, that there is no, people are not being abused in the process of making the clothes, and so on and so that. You also can use certain hashtag. I don't know what kind of fashion you are doing and stuff. Be very present on Instagram. Make sure that on your Instagram, you have a shop, that your shop is connected on the Instagram. That is really, really important. Make sure you are on Pinterest and that people can shop your product from Pinterest. But whatever it is, you need to make sure that your brand talks the right way to your consumer. So first, you need to know who is your consumer, what they want. You need to know, you need to speak to your consumer regularly to know what they want, what they like, and how they like it. You need to get your consumer involved in the production of what you're doing. And this is PR. If you do a casting, you could go and get models, but you could also do the casting with real women that follows you and buy your clothes. And that would be amazing PR, because who better than your own client to say that you're the best? So I hope that those are a few tips that can help you. Adenike, next question. I am a fashion designer. I developed the interest when I was 10 years old. And blah, blah, I'm passionate about building an online fashion brand for women. If you want, we only have 10 minutes left. If you want to build an online fashion business, you need to come back tomorrow, Adenike, because we will be talking about that exclusively, about digital growth. And then just for PR and your brand, even whether you have a collection or not, you need to grow your collection, your network, your followers right now, even if you're going to launch your collection in a year's time. What do you think, Karen? But we have 5 minutes left. So do you agree with me, Karen?
Yes, I agree with you, Agnes. You have to build an image to your brand. You will seduce and sell your products with your image. So it's quite important before having a PR to have nice pictures with nice models, nice videos, and probably, voilà, you can produce by yourself, but you can ask to Agnes too. Voilà, she's specialized. But if if you haven't a nice image, everything will be complicated for you. Your sales, your PR, your way.
Yes.
Voilà.
Yes.
So the most priority is to build, and for that you can ask to one friend. Voilà. Enfin, if you haven't model, you can find a nice place. But I think you have to have somebody who helps you, like Agnes or others, to build a beautiful image. And with these pictures, you could publish on Instagram, and you can. It's the beginning of your sales Instagram, because you are going to sell with Instagram, and after you will use your pictures of Instagram or Pinterest or LinkedIn for your PR campaigns. Sorry, voilà, for your different communication campaigns. But the priority, and if we have time, and yes, I wanted to show one example.
We have a lot of questions coming in now, but yes, go on. And we can always respond to your question in private as well. So you keep asking us questions. That's not a problem.
I wanted to show you an instance of one of my Geolai designer. He's 27 years old, huh? So he's quite young. He has no budget. His coach is a sport coach, and he decided to create this brand of tennis bracelets in diamonds. And I wanted to show you, because he thinks it's quite important. Voilà. So he realized all these pictures by himself, all these videos, with one photographer and one cameraman. Voilà. So you can see it's like a luxury brand, but he made own by himself. And he decided to take a black dancer who is a friend of him. And the video is just beautiful. Voilà. I wanted to show you.
We can't see it though.
You can see?
No, we can't see
it.
No. But we can get the slide. I'd like to answer two more questions. So there is to wear pieces, but okay. So if you sell fabric and you need a little bit, it's very simple. You need to use Excel, and you need to make database of shops, but also of designers. Okay, you could set up competition, you could sponsor fashion shows, but you need to approach designers, and you need to go beyond. You need to approach manufacturers in Italy, you need to approach manufacturers in France. So you really need to do databasing. Is this the brand you were talking about, Karine?
Yes. Yes. Do you see my screen?
Yes, we can see your screen now.
Voilà. So I wanted to show you the fashion designers. The fashion designers of this brand asked to one of his friends, who is this beautiful man, who is a famous dancer. And due to this picture, he began to sell his bracelets to men, because it's for men, and with an image of, as far as I'm concerned, of a very beautiful man.
Yeah. We agree.
Are you agree?
Yeah,
So I wanted to show you this man bring to him the opportunity to target different men, beautiful men, and very actual, very in the real life, with different bracelets and with a style. And this picture was made by only a photographer and the designer.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, no, absolutely. Simple and clean. Simple and clean. I want to go back to Abigail a little bit. If you have a product like your textile and you want to sell it, it's a bit the same. Your presentation is important. Your price point is going to be very important. And therefore, I would invite you to follow the conversation on Friday, because we will talk about all of that with the sales director who will help with distribution of product. This is why it's very important for all of you to follow every day, because every day complement today. Like tomorrow, we're going to do how to grow online, the digital, your online and your e-shops. You also, for a fabric company, you also need to be on trend. If you're not on trend with your fabric, you're not going to sell them in Europe anywhere. You know, people that still do wax, Ankara is very great, but it's over. It's finished. You know, people are looking for traditional fabric. They want noble fabric. They don't want the Dutch fabric anymore. People are kind of not boycotting in Europe, but it's not so chic to wear them anymore. People want real African fabric made by African for African. That's what people want. So the minute you do that, trust me, your fabric, Abigail, they're gonna fly, because everybody in Europe at the moment is looking for raffia, for all the traditional fabric that you can even have in Congo. They are looking for this. So if you find your niche, and if you don't just sell Ankara, you're gonna actually do really, really well. So if you wanna do better with your fabric, you need to know what do we want to buy. Yeah. Est-ce que je peux me revoir encore? You know, and then once you have that, Abigail, you're going to do very, very well. I don't know, how much time do we have left? I think we're going to be nearly to the end. But, so someone was asking, as a brand, must we have a PR company all year round to reduce overhead? No, I mean, I don't think so. We talk about that, but does a brand need to have a PR company all year round? Is it very necessary or not? Karine.
It's necessary to have one to launch you, to introduce you to the fashion designer. So I recommend you to have one doing from 4 months. It's a minimum. 4 to 5 months. After, you will develop by yourself. The journalists will know your brand and will support you. It's very important to have this introduction. Voilà.
No, I agree with that. To have a PR agency to kickstart things, it's absolutely needed, because she's got all the network that you don't have. People trust her. And then when your brand is launched, you really need to understand, and you really need to pick up after the PR, so you can keep up the interest as well. But for that, you really need to have a good marketing plan and a good branding plan as well. PR are not magicians. If you don't have a plan into who you want to speak to, how you want to collaborate, and so on, it's never going to work either. It needs to be, the PR is backing up a very tight plan made by a marketing director. The marketing director, it's the same, it's a consultancy. They will say, okay, I will advise you to do A, Y, Z, B, communicate like this, do a launch, don't do a launch. If you do a launch, it needs to be this way. And then you can feed the PR agency that will go and source all the right people for your launch. That's very much what is needed. So, Olu, I have been finding it hard to connect with local producer of Bogolan. Well, producer of Bogolan, Mudcloth, they are there. We have a fun, on private, I can tell you, I know a fantastic association in Mali that does that, you know. They do amazing Bogolan, they do amazing Mudcloth, and yes, Mudcloth, Bogolan, it's something which is very, very much sought after. So anyone doing fabric, look at your fabric again. Have a much more wider sourcing of fabric producers as well, and not just Ankara. Vlisco in Europe, everybody is dead tired with Vlisco. Yes, we still wear it, but really that's not what we want the most, you know. And there is so much of it, the competition is stupid. You come with natural fabric from Africa, you will make a kill because they are very hard to find. I'm trying to look for another question. Another question. So I'm trying to have another question. As a brand company all year round? No. Presentation and videos will be okay. Able. I'm trying to look at the question now. Hope we can, Berenice. Okay, Berenice, my brand is called Stitches. We do bespoke for men's, ready to wear for women. Our Instagram page for the female brand is Instagram, blah, 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 blah. Okay, so we've got your, oh, Kelly's Africa. Hello, Kelly's. We've got that. What question? What else do we have as a question? Need to grow my network. I need to build image to my brand. Like I said, the best way to grow yourself a network, whether it's PR for journalists, whether it's, and I'm talking about a network, not the visibility, not the image, but the network, it's on LinkedIn. Really, I couldn't stress this enough. Now, if you want to build a network for your visibility, you go on TikTok, you go on Instagram, you go on Facebook. Facebook still works very much for Africa, but for Europe, Instagram is the best. Really pay attention for your picture, but above all, if you want to be picked up by anyone, you need to go on Pinterest. Look at the trends as well, because I do find that sometimes designer, when they see something good, they all do it, especially in Europe. Now in Africa, what you're excellent at doing is you really, each tailor have their style. You need to emphasize on that. You need to really brand it. You need to really show the process of your production. You need to show the process of where and how you're sourcing for the fabric. You need to say, yo, I'm going to start my own prints if you do prints. I'm going to have my own colors if you do like very bright colors or very bright pattern. This is really like you need to start thinking of yourself like a fashion house. You have different cuts and phases on that, but you need to avoid, like they do here, they have like loads and loads and loads and loads and loads of models who are not even tailored. It's just like stitches with a little bit of elastic, and that's not good because that's not tailoring. People want tailor clothes. So, and I think that African tailors are some of the best in the world, simply as that, the best in terms of style and in best in terms of technicality as well. So you need to really look, you know, look for the trends. You need to really look for the trend. You need to set your collection apart as well and tailor your clothes. Don't put like a one size fit all, a piece of elastic on the waist so skinny or big can fit in it. That's not fashion. That's not tailoring. That's crap. Absolutely lazy crap. And that's why here in Europe, some African designers are not as good as on the continent. So you need to keep up. You need to go on LinkedIn. You have amazing photographers in Nigeria. You have amazing small crew of creative in Nigeria. You need to find them. We can always talk about it. And then if you have more questions for Karine, you can always send her a DM on her Instagram. She will get back to you, or you can send me a question. If you ask more questions here, it's all right. We will have them later on anyway, and we can always answer them. But Karine, I think we've been around the question. We've been around everything. Yeah. So for a last advice for a young brand a young brand on the African continent that wants to export their image, not even the product as such, but who wants to be noticed, the one advice that you would give, you'll give one advice and I will give one advice. So what would you advise them?
Okay, choose a good PR, because I'm sure she will help you a lot to develop your awareness in Europe. Choose somebody you like, with a confident person, who inspire you, confidence, investments, very dynamic, very professional to help you. I'm sure this person, if you make a good choice, will help you a lot. Trust me, every day I receive some message of last fashion designers I help, and they develop their business due to a PR and marketing or digital, like Agnes. But I agree with Agnes. I'm sure you can work and do your image in your country with your photographer, because your culture, it's your I think you just need a link to Europe, between you and the Europe, and and if you want after to sell your products in Europe and even to sell on Instagram, you need a strong image in Europe, and you just need to be known in the fashion
spectrum.
Voilà, exactly. And yes.
Me? Okay, I'm going to give two advice. If you want to sell, if you are yourself a designer, you're not a salesperson. Get someone to sell for you. Okay, got someone, that job is to sell. That job is to know the shop. That job is to know the client. That job is to know where to place your product. Sell is sell. Sell is not design. So get someone to go sell for you. Now, if you're a designer, the image of the brand is going to be part of yourself as well. So people do not ever make a choice based on it's easier, because then your work will become mediocre. Very, very, very mediocre. Oh yeah, but no, I don't know. Mediocrity will kill your brand. So always do the best, try to get the best, not the most expensive, but the most creative photographer, the most creative videographer. So my advice would be, before you do anything, surround yourself with talent, a good eye. You have a lot of, you can't afford an ad agency? Fine, you have Canva. You go in Canva, you can do all your posters, your visual, it's free. And you can do a lot of things. So now there's no more excuse to have an ugly page. It's impossible, yeah? Get some interns to help you if you're not sure. Now, there's one thing that costs nothing and that has to come from the designer. It's the image of the brand will always, and especially nowadays, always come from the designer. The consumer need to connect with you. If the consumer don't connect with you, you're not going to make any sale. It's gonna be 10 times harder. You don't need to be the product, but you need to be the connection to the product. You need to be the connection, the emotional connection to the brand. People need to want to know more about the brand, and therefore they want to associate, therefore they want to buy a piece of your product. Everything is very emotional nowadays. So I'm going to recap my 3 advice as a young brand. First of all, when it comes to sell, if you're not good at selling, take a sales agent. And we'll talk about that on Friday as well. Or take a salesperson, but delegate yourself. Because if the sales are not working, it's because there's something that you're not doing very well. You don't have the right product, or you have the right product, but you put it in front of the wrong people, so it doesn't work. Delegate. Give it to someone that will know how to do that. Second, surround yourself with people who are creative and have talent. Before money, get people with talent, and then the money will come, and then everybody get paid, and then it will be fantastic. Talent first before the money. And third, make sure that whatever you do, you have a video of yourself, you explain your process, people know where, because you have this advantage in comparison to a huge brand. They are very opaque and we don't know who does what. But with a smaller brand, you have this advantage where you can invite your consumer into your company. You can invite your consumer to co-create the brands with you, and you can explain them what's your process. And also you need to listen to the consumer. If the consumer tells you, I want that dress in that size, in that color, you'd better go and do it. And do it fast. That is what will make you sell, and your work is going to grow and grow and grow and grow. Yesterday, I was talking about Anifa from Congo, who presented a collection in 3D media, but also you need to look at the collection. It's not just the 3D media. The collection was amazing because it was all original pieces that you can see nowhere else, and it was all tailored pieces. So, you know, it's one thing to be, oh, I like sewing. Oh yeah, it's cool. Oh yeah, lovely. And it's one thing to be a designer and create collection that's your staple, that even if the label is not in the clothes, you say, I know her, it's the work of so, 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 and so. So that's what I advise. Get a sales agent if you can't do it. Work on your image. Polish or not polish, but the image needs to reflect the consumer that you're gonna target. If your clothes is for trashy people, make it trashy. If it's for chic people, make it chic. Know your consumer. And then, really then, as a founder, make sure people it's you, make sure people know it's you, you inspire them, and you share your journey with them. Listen to your consumer. That would be the few words of the end. Karine, thank you very much for taking the time with us.
You're welcome. So just to show you, if you see my screen, this man is the founder of Untitled. So he's one of the ambassadors of he's one of the images of the brand. Voilà.
Yeah, okay. Yeah.
Just to give an example of what you.
Yes, clean, simple, very like product-centered, you know, product-centered. Bereni is like, I am into jewelry making, and how do I get the best PR for my business in Nigeria? First of all, you need to know, is there any PR in Nigeria? Or more people are coming now. Is there any people you need? Well, you know, I tell you what you do. If you want a PR in Nigeria, you go on Instagram and you do hashtag PR Nigeria. And then some PR are going to pop up. Then on the side of the screen, you have an arrow, and every other single PR in Nigeria, you're going to click and they're all going to appear. So you will see all the different business. But I can tell you something. You could go to the founder editor of Glam Africa. She does a little bit of PR like that. And I'm sure that if you contact Glam Africa magazine, they would be Kioma. They would be able to tell you if there is PR in Nigeria. And if there is no PR in Nigeria, maybe it's about time to start one. How about that? Karine, thank you very much for taking the time.
You're welcome. You know, you're welcome.
We went over a little bit. I'm sure there's I can see a lot of questions popping up, and we've got now a professional makeup artist. You know, lots of questions. We'll answer to all the questions. Do not hesitate to contact Karine. We've put her detail in the comments as well, so you can go and look at this. Karine, thank you very much.
You're welcome. Have a good day.